30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. My life has value.
Good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Global Watchman News. My name is Lori Swan. I hope you guys are all doing well. If you are in the live chat, we do ask to keep it family friendly. There will be moderators in there to make sure we stay within the terms of service put forth to us by the platform we're utilizing tonight. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Take a minute to hit the subscribe button, hit that bell so you know when we go live. You are over watching us on TikTok. Come on over and join the live chat over in YouTube. Just go over and look up Global Watchman News. We have a live stream going on right now. We've got Anti-Hero with us. We've also got Big John with us, and we're going to talk tonight about the Giants. So come on over. I saw that there was like 30, 40 of you guys, so come on over. Global Watchman News over on YouTube. I'm going to end the stream over here on TikTok. Join us over there. All right. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello. How's everybody?
Blessings.
Greetings.
John, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Great.
Here's your intro, John.
It's your old pal back again one more time.
There we go. It's the little things, John. Come on. It's the little things. Tonight we're going to talk about a topic that's pretty deep. We've talked about it. We've just scratched the surface a little bit over the last few weeks, kind of gearing up because I was trying to get some validation and verification of some things that we're going to talk about tonight regarding an individual who we thought had disappeared because of the information he was putting out. But so we're going to get into that tonight. But before we start, because of the topic, because it is so deep, because it's going into a spiritual realm, we're going to ask Ernie if he could please start us off with a word of prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the great I am that I am, thank you so much for giving us life upon this earth and allowing for us to glorify you, honor, and cherish you for all the things you have done for us in this world. You are the creator of heaven and earth, and for that we are in debt to you, God. I mean, we just ask you for your blessings upon this chat and upon this panel here tonight as we continue to dive deep into the things that was brought forth to us by you, God. And I just pray that you provide us with your hedge of protection, open our minds, open our eyes, and most importantly, open our hearts and be able to accept you as our Lord and Savior, anoint us with the Holy Spirit, and provide us with the words we need to spread your message to your people, God. We love you, we honor you, and praise you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. So we're going to start out tonight talking about the giants. Yeah, so let's start out with a little bit of background on what we're talking about. We're basically talking about the Nephilim of the book of Genesis. Genesis 6 talks about these giants. And
can I read that off for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was actually what I wanted to start off the broadcast with, as far as like reading that and whatnot.
Yeah.
So those of you who have your Bibles in maybe a Bible app on your smartphone or computing device, if you turn to the book of Genesis chapter 6, I'm going to read verses 1 through 5. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they choose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually.
Exactly. And what had happened is when these angels came down and they mated with the women, the human women, and if somebody tells you that's not possible, they're not doing the research. It is possible. And what happened is we had the men of renown, and this was one of the reasons for God bringing about the flood. And in Matthew chapter 24 verse 37, it says, but as in the days of Noah, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. So the same things that we saw prior to the flood that caused the flood to actually happen, which was the DNA manipulation that had happened, we're going to see these things again, and we have. John, how many videos do you come across literally every day? New videos, not the same videos, but new videos of sightings of giants.
A lot.
Yeah.
Even if there's like one or even two, that's a lot.
Well, I know that personally, I'm coming across like literally, I don't know, 8, 10, 12 a day.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting because
That's a lot.
it is, because I mean, this is something that, well, I mean, it's definitely been like UFO sightings. There's been an uptick. I'm going to put this up here. This is a video that we put up on our channel 3 months ago. And it's just a 3-minute video. Take a look, guys. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, that's pretty wild. I've been seeing a lot of and I was thinking about making a video about this actually on TikTok. I've been seeing a lot of videos of petrified giants like in mountains and in like the waters and all types of stuff.
Yeah.
Like they're like in rock formations and things of that nature. Like you can see like the full body or like the head or.
Yeah, that's true. You know, honestly, the whole tree thing, and like Hero said, the giants and the rocks, that's new to me. Like as much as giants, and he laughs when I say Nephilim. I tell him that's the way Southern people say it, Nephilim. As much as I like been into that, I never thought about the tree thing until literally within the last 8 months, I guess. And I thought that was very interesting. How it's like, yeah, you're right. That looks like some cut down trees.
In the, what is it? It's called, it was Devil's Tower. We saw that in Steven Spielberg's Encounters of the Third Kind, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Devil's Tower. They've done extensive underground like x-rays of it, and they found an underground root system attached to Devil's Tower.
Wow. That's crazy interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not something that is just theory. It's actually something that has been confirmed in a lot of these places. So when you think about it, guys, let's talk something in particular, an example of a city. Let's talk about Petra for a moment. If you look at Petra was not built for human beings the size that we are today. Let me see if I can pull it up. Let me get you. See, I wasn't going to go this direction, but we might as well. Petra, Petra.
Yeah, and even like scientists will say stuff like back when there's way more oxygen on the planet, humans and animals and plants were way larger.
Yeah, absolutely way larger.
I guess that would explain, like we talk about them trying to terraform the atmosphere back,
yeah,
like it was before the flood.
Exactly. Oops. Okay. Let's. Hopefully this shows it. Petra is in Jordan, guys, and it's an ancient city, and it's huge. And the doors are the steps are huge. Let me see if I can. He's going to show any of it on this one.
So we are now at the Petra Treasury. Now, you actually can't go in here. It is guarded. It's gated off, but there's nothing in there. It's essentially just a giant kind of tomb, and it does not look like it does in Indiana Jones, unfortunately. So you can't walk in there, but it's really cool to see the outside. So not only can you enjoy Petra, but you can also enjoy the gift shops, tons of food, and bathrooms, which is nice.
Breakfast.
If you walk a couple minutes up the hill here, you can get a great view. They have some tea and a bunch of carpets and just a great lookout point. You can actually go walk inside this one. So once you get inside the tomb, you can see there's not a whole lot left. I imagine years and years ago, these tombs were looted just like the ones in Egypt, probably way before the Swiss explorer even arrived.
That's not the one I was actually looking for. The one I was looking for was the steps of Petra.
Yeah, if there was nothing in there, it wouldn't be guarded and fenced off.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. The funny thing is, there's always it looks like a door built but then there's a wall behind it. And they're like, wow, I wonder what this must be like a decorative, little area they put their trophies or, it's like, no, that was a Stargate.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
What's funny is too, how they're trying to bring back some of the men of old. And if you talked about terraforming the atmosphere, those beasts, if you will, can't survive on the oxygen that we breathe right now.
Correct.
So they have to develop an atmosphere that's capable of producing the oxygen at levels it was before the days of Noah. So it only makes sense.
Right. And when you think about it, if it had a higher oxygen concentration, that would account for things that were bigger. They were, the atmosphere wasn't as dense. It was lighter atmosphere. It had more oxygen, and things grew a lot bigger. As the people, as in, the trees, the leaves, everything.
Just think about it. The greater the oxygen, the greater the plants, the more CO2 it produces. It absorbs. So therefore, the giants, they gave off a lot of CO2, and that's what plants needs to grow.
There's something.
So it's a circle.
Yeah, exactly. There's something about that I remember, and I'm trying to think. Okay, so oxygen is what, 19.5, right? In the atmosphere?
I am not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
I will get you those numbers in just a second.
It's about 19.5.
I know someone said that it was originally like it dropped 35% since
21%.
Humanity.
What is it now?
21%.
Okay, so what is a low? So you can't live past 19 and a half, right?
Correct.
Okay, so it's a scale range. I think, let me remember. Okay, so if it's set, if nothing can live underneath 19 and a half, because that's a setting, right? It's got something to do. They say God did that because he pulled the atmosphere off of Mars after the Mars Wars, and that way none could survive there. Well, on the dollar bill, I'm pretty sure, I'm gonna look this up. I'm pretty sure that each brick represents 19 and a half.
Oh, wow.
On the dollar bill. So I know there's a correlation. I'm gonna go back because I've only looked into that one time a long time ago, but there was a connection to that, to where you can't, like, he matched the atmosphere of Mars. Like, you can't, Mars is less than 19 and a half. Used to be, where you could live on it.
Right.
Wow.
Well, in the book of Numbers, chapter 13, verse 33, it says, "And there we saw the giants and sons of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers." So we're not talking just regular giants here, guys, are we? We're talking titans.
For sure. I was gonna say, isn't it funny with that verse 13 and 33?
Yeah,
two of the main numbers.
Yeah.
Another thing about 33, the term in Hebrew, the Rapha Elohim, the dead gods, that's mentioned 33 times in the Old Testament, and that refers to them.
Oh, wow.
When the giants died, obviously that's the demon. That's where demons come from. It's the spirits of disembodied giants.
And we just talked about that before we came on, the disembodied demons that will and are returning to Earth. Do you think it's any coincidence, guys, between the uptick in UFO or unidentified flying objects that we've been seeing and the uptick of the reports of people seeing actual giants? Do you think there's a correlation between the two?
There has to be a direct correlation with it. I mean, because, as in the days of Noah were, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. I mean, we've all known this verse since our time, interacting with each other or beforehand. So we're definitely seeing that. I mean, we had it on one of our broadcasts not too long ago about some of the old hieroglyphic images that showed up that they pulled that depict UFOs and spaceships. And we also talked about the Anunnaki as well. So, I mean, that all is correlating one with another.
I'll tell you something else that's obvious now, and most of these people have blocked me, but I'll go on my backup and go see that. Here's the thing: when you have a creator that goes against every narrative, basically, is an agent of the Smithsonian. When they start trying to debunk any kind of UFO or orb or whatever, I mean, out of the blue, this person's never talked about that, and a lot of them, even the Freemasons on there. When they start going after everybody seeing these UFOs, that's how I know the entities put it out there, because these people are into, tarot and all that other crap. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's a pattern. When they start talking about, well, what you saw is this, it's just a military industrial complex and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's like, come on now. You're so smart and people think you have a high IQ, but you can't mess with a pattern, buddy.
No, you can't. And I preached a sermon on Sunday talking about Genesis 1 and how so many theologians and scientists throughout history have tried to refute that God created the heavens and the earth, when in actuality, there's no other entity that can do that. You have to be able to transcend space, time, and matter in order to be able to create heavens and earth. We didn't come from a ball of gas. So you have to ask yourself, if we came from a ball of gas, who created a ball of gas?
Yeah.
How was it in perpetual balance to create atmosphere in a creation where it can self-sustain?
I'm going to tell you what to look for. That's exactly right, Ernie. I'm going to tell you what to look for. When people really start going after the notion that none of these cryptids, these giants, but they stick to the narrative of literally, the whole knowledge. In other words, they're going to try to bamboozle you with that you have this chakra or Christ secretion in your spinal cord, and they will mention nothing of these, of these Nephilim hybrids, because they don't want you to think anything of that narrative.
Right.
And it's going to turn to where they're, whenever everybody can go along with the same story, and it's reversible. Somebody can turn on the others, right? Well, if you stay on your subject of, no, I know what I saw, this and that, it'll turn and they start using against you. Irreversible is when they make you look insane, and they're the ones that are just believing literally, I use an old term, I don't want to say it on here, but it's like you can convince people, right? So when you know the truth, it turns you crazy. Everybody looking at you like, oh, you're a nutball of giants, but and you can't reverse that. It puts you into that, and then you're the one getting rounded up. You're the one getting harassed,
Oh yeah.
But
that happens to everybody who's exposed to truth. I mean, when you're doing that to glorify Christ, the devil doesn't like that. So he'll pull out all the stops to try to attack you, dismay you, discourage you, and try to end you, if you will. But you have to have that power of the Most High God flowing through your veins in order to be able to preach these types of messages, because if you don't, you're going to be sucked into the hole where you don't want to be at.
Of course. It's and then they'll stick to that whole narrative. I don't know. I can't get over that narrative of that whole this mystic, and Jesus was an occultist, and oh my gosh, that's the whole star seed thing. I mean,
yeah, it grinds my gears.
And then when they tell you, oh, giants are preposterous, that's really gets me. I'm thinking that's what you can defeat an atheist with. They don't know what to say. When you get them in that, you get them in that area, they don't know, they can't come at you with nothing. You're like, well, no, this isn't a scripture. And the lion-like men, people who love Thundercats cartoon in the 80s, I did. I mean,
my gosh, I forgot about that one.
I mean, that's a thing, lion-like men, cat people, chimera warriors. Do you think somebody made up Thundercats? I mean, no, they had those in Moab. It was basically their special forces was a half lion, half man.
Wow. I've been
You have the
showing
speed and
what I've
cunningness of a lion, and you know the
Yes.
wherewithal of man.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, literally. Yeah, had lion-like features. Not like, you know, they were mighty in their heart. No, they look like lions.
Right.
They're half cat.
The chimeras, before the flood, you know, the DNA manipulation. Somebody had said to me today in one of my posts, they said that they felt, in their opinion, is that we are worse off today than we were in the days of Noah. And I said, not really, because in those days there was chimeras actually walking around.
100%. You know, people who love Greek mythology so much but care nothing of a Christian beliefs, if you will, if they have the titans of Zeus and Hades and all the major gods, right? Well, in the mythology too, the titans, the larger ones, interacted with the minotaurs and the centaurs, but that was just those things are family, just not on a level as the larger ones. And that matches the stories, even like with Joshua. Joshua fought literally 13 different tribes with different features of Nephilim hybrids.
Mm-hmm.
And then you knew the only thing that I know of that proves that they were larger before the flood was the story out of Peru with Pizarro. Okay, so the head conquistador always carried like a 6-foot broadsword. That's what distinguished, the difference in the rankings was the size of your sword, in which, that sounds funny, but anyhow, it says that he put the sword into a skull, into the eye socket that the Incans drug out. He puts the sword into the eye socket and only a cubit remains. That's a big skull. Touches the back of the skull through the eye, and only a cubit, which is 18 inches, remains. That skull is off a 40-foot tall person.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
and they got bigger than that too.
Knew that.
It's funny because when we were in school and they used to tell us, during our history classes, I used to wonder why we had to learn about, air quote, mythology during our history classes. We had to, learn about the Greek mythology and the Roman mythology. Why am I learning about myths or fairy tales in my history class? Well, because it wasn't a mythology. It's not a fairy tale. They actually existed. And those
was our history.
gods are coming back.
Yeah. They taught you in history, taught history about those things because it is history.
Correct.
These did occur, but
exactly.
they shelter you from believing it was true because it seems so far-fetched to the hive mind of society that has been programmed into our brains for all of our lives.
Right. Let me ask you guys a question. What would you do if you saw a 40-foot giant right now?
Pray.
What does the Bible tell us that's going to happen to the hearts of men? The hearts of men will fail for the things that they're going to be seeing.
We talked about this earlier, Lori.
We did.
I was like, if I see a giant face to face, I'm like, whoa.
Whoa, things just got real. Yep.
I'm like, can I get a lift? I need to go to work real quick.
I don't have to run fast. I just got to run faster than the slowest person that's near me. That's all I got to say.
I guess you'll have to stand your ground and know that God's behind you like David and take out that sling.
Yeah.
Exactly. And what did David say to Goliath before he did that? You came with your strength and your armor and your huge swords. I came in the mighty name of the Most High God.
Here's a little trivia question for you guys. How did David kill Goliath?
Between the eyes.
Yeah, put a hole right between it.
That didn't kill him. He cut off his
head.
Yes, he did cut off his head. Yes.
Yeah.
He finished him off by cutting off his head.
Yep. I actually got that. My husband, every once in a while, will be sitting at dinner and all of a sudden he'll pop off freaking questions at me, and I'm like, what? Yeah, where the hell did that one come from? We were just talking about salad dressing.
That's funny.
Like, yeah.
Yes, right. Yeah.
And he's sitting there and goes, so when David went to kill Goliath, how did he kill him? I was like, the slingshot. Duh. He's like, no, killed him by cutting off his head. And I was like, wait a minute. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, he would have regenerated. Well, he had that on that copper. That copper would have regenerated him.
Right. It would have regenerated. Oh, child of God. Yep. Enricher. Rick is always on top of this. Yep. Copper armor. Absolutely. And what did we talk about a few weeks ago about the regenerative properties of copper? Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah. God told David that he must cut off his head.
Yep.
Yeah. God knew. He said, oh, he'll be back in a minute. You better go over
there. Just hold on a second. Give him a minute. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Okay. I've got a couple of videos to play, and we'll just really quick. As a matter of fact, hold on a second. This one is, give me 2 seconds here. This one's actually a little longer. This one's 7 minutes. Talks about giants, Columbus, and hidden history. So let's take a listen to this one. And I'm sorry I cannot make this bigger, guys. I do apologize.
Oh, you've all heard about.
Oh, I know him actually.
Columbus is and how he's such a bad man, and all the news media talks about it. All the major outlets talk about it. Makes you wonder, right? Maybe they don't want you to read what he wrote. They don't want you to read his original log writings. Oh yeah, you can't. Why? Because his 2 original logs ironically went missing. And in the Encyclopedia of Literary and Typographical Anecdote, written in 1842, it mentions the book For in the Life of Columbus, written by Columbus's own son, and that owning a copy of this book would be a punishable crime. Due to supposed allegations of falsehood, it was literally a crime to own a copy of the book about Columbus's discoveries. But we can still find snippets of some of those logs. And in those logs, I'll tell you what he talks about. He talks about people with tails. He talks about dog humanoids, like a lot of really weird, strange things.
There they are.
Is that he's not the only one that talks about it. And judging by our archaeological finds, it seems like there was a race of extinct giants, especially when you read all of the Native American stories referring to giants. Or you can read Sir Francis Drake, another earlier explorer who talks about this stuff. Or why don't we read about the race of giants Fernand Magellan found?
It's from the account of Antonio Pigafetta, chronicler of Ferdinand Magellan's expedition. But one day, without anyone expecting it, we saw a giant who was on the shore near today's Puerto San Julian, Argentina, quite naked, and who danced, leaped, and sang, and while he sang he threw sand and dust on his head. Our Captain Magellan sent one of his men toward him, charging him to leap and sing like the other in order to reassure him and to show him friendship, which he did. Immediately, the man of the ship, dancing, led this giant to a small island where the captain awaited him, and when he was before us, he began to marvel and to be afraid, and he raised one finger upward, believing that we came from heaven, and he was so tall that the tallest of us only came up to his waist. Withal he was well proportioned. The captain named the people of this sort Patagoni. The etymology of the word is unclear, but Patagonia came to mean land of the big feet. Magellan seized 2 of the younger males as hostages to bring back to Spain, but they got sick and died on the journey.
The Spaniards only came up to the giant's waist. Okay, now when they got the 2 giants on the boat, they tricked them onto it. They died of scurvy because they had to consume twice the amount of food that a normal person would eat, and they didn't have enough food on the ship. And when they died, their carcasses stank so bad, their rotting bodies decayed so fast that they threw their bodies overboard because they couldn't stand the putrid smell of the decaying giant flesh. And now let's talk about Amerigo Vespucci, whom you were told America was named after. Let's talk about his encounter with giants.
Corresponded with the feet they must be very large men. While occupied with these conjectures, we struck a path which led us inland, and after we had gone about a league, we saw in a valley 5 huts or cottages which appeared to be inhabited. On going to them we found only 5 women, 2 quite old, and 3 girls, all so tall in stature that we regarded them with astonishment. When they saw us they became so frightened that they had not even courage to flee, and the 2 old women began to invite us into the huts, and to bring us many things to eat, with many signs of friendship. They were taller than a tall man, and as large-bodied as Francisco of Albizi, but better proportioned than we are. While we were consulting as to the expediency of taking the 3 girls by force and bringing them to Castile to exhibit as wonders, there entered the door of the hut 36 men, much larger than the women, and so well made that it was a pleasure to look at them. They put us in such perturbation, however, that we would much rather have been in the ships than have found ourselves with such people. They carried immense bows and arrows, and large-headed clubs, and talked among themselves in a tone which led us to think they were deliberating about attacking. Seeing we were in such danger, we formed various opinions on the subject. Some were for falling upon them in the hut, others thought it would be better to attack them in the field, and others that we should not commence the strife until we saw what they wished to do. We agreed, at length, to go out of the hut and take our way quietly to the ships. As soon as we did this they followed at a stone's throw behind us, talking earnestly among themselves, and I think no no less afraid of us than we were of them. For whenever we stopped they did the same, never coming nearer to us. In this way we at length arrived at the shore, where the boats were waiting for us. We entered them, and as we were going off in the distance they leaped forward and shot many arrows after us. But we had little fear of them now. We discharged two arquebuses at them, but more to frighten them than injure. And on hearing the report they all fled to the mountain. Thus we parted from them, and it appeared to us that we had escaped a perilous day's work. These people were quite naked, like the others we had seen, and on account of their large stature I called this island the Island of Giants.
Google any earlier explorer and add the word giants to it, and you're going to find a giant story related to those earlier explorers. Also, this. You ever seen this book? Gulliver's Travels? And what's that? Oh, is that a floating UFO? Oh, is that because this book talks about alien abductions and dog-faced people and all kinds of different things, or little people? So, this thing is a fictional book. This is a fictional book. That's not a square and compass, but it makes you think, doesn't it? But it was taken from the stories of earlier explorers that were coming to America, and he just basically conglomerated this story of all these mixed stories into one, and he just kind of made up a fictitious story based off of all the other stories that people were hearing. And he mixed his own stuff in and twisted those stories and perverted them all. Now, I'm going to read you a quote from Hernan Cortez. This is in his log book. The same guy the Gulf of California, or the Sea of Cortez, was named after. To show us how big these giants had been, they brought us the leg bone of one, which was very thick and the height of an ordinary-sized man. And that was the leg bone from the hip to the knee. I measured myself against it. It was as tall as I am. Though I am a man of reasonable height, we were all astonished at the sight of these bones and felt certain there must have been giants in the land. And Cortez said that we ought to send the leg bone to Castile so that His Majesty might see it, which they did by the first agents who went there. Side note, after it went to Castile, what do you want to bet? It went to the Vatican. Hence why it's now missing. As the Telexicons had a folklore explaining the gigantic bones, the native stories allegedly aligned with the Spaniards' own impression that the bones belonged to the extinct group of huge humanoids. Telexicon tradition, Bernal Diaz claimed, told of an evil race of giants who lived in the region in the distant past. The ancestors of the Telexicon were said to have waged war with the giants and eventually drove the creatures into extinction. Hernan Cortez talks about giants. And you believe in dinosaurs, yet you've never seen one in person. So does that mean that maybe, possibly, there could have been another race of giant beings that you just never were told about? And maybe, just maybe, they've been erasing it from your history for some potential reason. Now, it's possible that some of these early explorers' accounts have been exaggerated, but it's also possible that some of their information pertaining to the existence of giants has also been removed. If you don't think giants actually existed, I urge you to look up any historical stories. It might shed a little bit new light onto why Christopher Columbus is such a bad man. Yeah, him and all the earlier explorers did some terrible, inhumane stuff. But maybe they also just don't want you reading his papers. And it's very hard to find some of these papers.
And I think we've been indoctrinated since the mid 1800s. So I have a really, really hard time trying to find any books that are older than 1850. Reading this encyclopedia of just a plethora of knowledge from the late 1800s. Last night I read things about giants that were found and how they were buried and how much the bones weighed. They weighed like 300 pounds.
So, good hunting, explore, research, do the research yourself. Don't just take my word for it again. Guys, this is my perspective on some of the ancient writings and historical stuff that I have found. And if you go to demonerasers.com, I'll have some resources and books that will help you on your exploratory journey to discover the history that's been removed. Oh, I'm sure by now you've...
Yeah, I actually know that guy, kind of. Like with TikTok friends and stuff, we'll talk about that stuff.
Yeah, he's good. So, okay, guys, so he gave you a lot of information. He gave a lot of proof. And, a lot of people have a hard time when science validates the things we're talking about.
Yep. And here's the thing, too. A lot of those remains from those giants are in museums as dinosaurs. I guarantee it.
Correct. There was that show we talked about before on the History Channel, I believe it was. It was about they were here in North America, and they were hunting down and they were looking for and searching for giants in the bones of the giants. And as soon as they would find them, the Smithsonian would come in. John, you know about the Smithsonian. They take everything, don't they? Look, the Vatican.
Yeah, probably worse. Well, Smithsonian's the arm of the Vatican, but yeah, taking everything.
Yeah, and we're going to take it, we're going to preserve it, we're going to that's code for we're going to take it, we're going to bury it, and nobody's ever going to be able to find it.
It is said that the Smithsonian has preserved everything that has ever lived on the earth. Everything that has ever lived. It's verified by someone who was in the Vatican. In the Smithsonian, and they said they were told that everything, and they're like, he's like, everything, and he saw it.
That's crazy.
And he came out and said that he saw. This is what the creator on TikTok was getting mad at me about. The sons of Horus were actual chimeras, and the Smithsonian has their decapitated heads preserved.
Wow.
And this guy got mad enough to block me. He has like literally 500,000 people, and he blocked me because I was on there. I was like, yeah, well, the Smithsonian got it. That's why I know that he's part of that.
Little will you hurt his feelers.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, why are you mad at me? Like I'm a nobody, in your big world of exploring the world, and you're mad because I said that the Smithsonian has, it's because, like I said before, once you put that out there, it's somebody's going to recognize it, or people that never believed in it. It's just a notion, and that's why these entities get mad, because it's just the smallest bit of knowledge that opens your eyes. So when you see it, you're not deceived. That's the whole name of the game, is not to be deceived with these things.
Correct.
Right. And the people are so programmed that any trigger words, such as the stuff we're talking about tonight, will instantly trigger people in an instant to respond accordingly to what they perceive as fallacies. They're programmed to do that. And
But what they perceive as feelings. It's not based on any scientific or intellectual fact. It's how they feel.
If we look at the MK program, how they program people to react from certain key phrases and key words and stuff like that, don't you think the television and news media and education has programmed our minds to react that way when they hear certain things, such as what we're talking about tonight?
Exactly. It's the same thing as, the whole, Lori's mentioned before, like, the rule followers, and you literally turn into the enemy because you're just not following what they tell you over and over and over again on the TV. And I've always said, people that deal with, if you're a psychic, or if you're an empath, whatever, look, okay, I get that does exist with the whole RH negative, or if you deal with entities.
Right.
The thing is, people do get stuff from entities. You get magic, you get information, you get powers, you can read horoscopes, whatever, right? And you're just awing everybody. Well, here's the thing. The entities that you deal with to get your, they oppress other people that know what they're up to. That's why I say it.
Well,
whatever entities you get it from, I hear it from them too. I don't get information like that, but they oppress me, and they'll tell me things about the person that's against me.
Well, you and I have talked about this, John, where we said that, there's a lot of times that, our job isn't to convince people. Our job is just to plant the seeds.
Yes.
Even somebody with a small channel can start planting seeds with these truths. So, there are a lot of people that are sent into our chat rooms to cause disruption and to take us off a topic and to put that doubt. We're planting the seed of truth. They're going to plant the seed of doubt.
Or sidetrack the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to watch out for that. So
we actually have seen that a lot in a couple of our chats over the, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about. You guys know.
But the thing is with the I personally, I guess I have an open mind. I mean, it doesn't trigger me if somebody has a different opinion. I don't like go off the rails. I just kind of, okay. I mean, even in our own group here, we don't always agree 100% all the time with each other in this room, and that's fine. I mean, because we're all open-minded enough to respect, oh, okay, that's a good theory, but like people that belong, I don't know what's wrong with them, but they just like go off the rails if you like don't 100% go on board with what they think.
I mean,
the narrative.
Look at Steven Crowder's Change My Mind series, and that's proof in the pudding right there.
Mm-hmm. Who's another one? Who's that guy? Oh, I can't think of his name. He's the conservative. He's always talking. I can't even remember. I'll think of his name, but he's another one that he just triggers. I think the sight of him just triggers people.
Tucker Carlson?
No, he's the young guy. He's a Christian, and he unfortunately bashes, the trans community, which I don't.
Oh, Matt Walsh.
No.
It's not Tucker. No, not Tucker. Stu Peter?
No, not Stu Peters either. I can't think of who it is.
Who is it? Is it Ben Shapiro or whatever?
Ben Shapiro. That's it. Ben Shapiro.
Well, Matt Walsh is under him, so yeah.
Is it? Okay, I don't know. Yeah, Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro, just the sight of him can trigger people. It's hilarious.
It's kind of like Trump, and I'm not for or against Trump. I'm just kind of neutral because I don't know. You know, like I think we're living in a psyop. So I don't. But if people love Trump, hey, good. I hope he's good. I'm pulling for him, but I'm not like in love with them, so I could go either way. But the Trump thing triggers people one way or the other. They either love him or hate him.
And the problem with this whole topic of giants and everything is because we've got the scientific data to back it up. We've got actual archaeological evidence to back all this up. And the fact that the Smithsonian tries to silence this and comes in and takes, guys, we've got newspaper articles from the 1800s proving the discovery of these giants. I want to welcome to the panel Ken, Red Pill Truth. Ken has been with us for a long time. Ken, I want to introduce you to everybody on the panel.
Hey, Ken.
Hello.
You're muted, hon.
Hey, everybody. I'm not sure how good my sound is tonight.
You're pretty good. You're pretty good. What do you think about what we're talking about, Ken?
I know they're still around. I mean, I put out a video about a month ago, and there are so many places, back from years ago that are still there that have, really, really large doors.
Yes. I was actually trying to find, there's a picture of a door, and this guy, he's a pretty good sized gentleman. He's standing next to the door, and the latch for the door is probably like 15 feet above him. Have you seen that one? Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I've actually got that in my video. It's too long to show on here. It's like an hour long, but
okay. I'll put the link in the description.
I do have that clip in there.
Yeah, I'll put the link in the description. Somebody in chat, this was, put this out, I can't even talk. The Samoan Watchman, Bigfoot is a demon. The next video I've got to play is actually going to talk about Bigfoot. And so let me play that one. At the best time as ever.
Bigfoot in 1953, they had to cut it up to get it out of the swamp. I have all the body parts. When my father passed away, that was given to me. It's been very expensive for my father, my family, to keep the Bigfoot, frozen for that many years. It was always in a commercial freezer. It's always wrapped up, with several layers to keep it. It looks in pretty good shape considering that it's been frozen for 65 years. Now let me take the camera in so that you guys can look closer at the Bigfoot. It's, by the way, I've taken a lot of shit on my YouTube channel, people saying that I'm always making jokes. This is not real. This is real. Not everything in my life is a joke. This Bigfoot head, the Bigfoot, I've showed the Bigfoot's feet, its arms, its penis. I've shown a lot of the Bigfoot. That's real. Not everything's a joke. Yeah, I do joke around, but this is not a joke. This is real. Check it out. You can see it has a lot of ice on it. It has remained frozen. You can see its eyeball there. This is very heavy. It weighs about 120 pounds. So I can't move it by myself. I have to have somebody help me move it. There's a lot of debris still frozen in it. I have somebody here to help me move it so that we can see the other side.
All right, Bigfoot. Chimera, interdimensional being, giant, Nephilim. What is your thought is on Bigfoot?
Yes, to all.
Yes, to all.
I wish he would have put his head next to it or his hand or something so I could have a better idea of how big that was.
That's 120 pounds. That's a lot.
That's a big head.
The Smithsonian, there's record out of British Columbia in like the late 1890s of how many, like the loggers in British Columbia were killing these things left and right, and the Smithsonian were scooping up, recovering the bodies as fast as they could.
Of course they were. Exactly. Okay, let's see if we got Ken back.
It's funny with the whole with this Nephilim thing. I think the cat might already be out of the bag with this one. I don't know if they can really stop what's happening, because the videos on TikTok are getting like millions of views and hundreds of thousands of likes. Yeah. So it might be.
Exactly, they are. I got a couple more to play for you. Let's do this one. This one is actually now, Ken. It says that you're not connected, so if you got to, he went out. Yeah, you're not connected. These are giant helmets found underwater in Madagascar. Take a look at this. That's a pretty big helmet, guys.
Yeah.
The helmet is taller than him.
Right.
I know. That's
Yeah.
it. Well, I'm gonna go over to the Freemason TikTok, and they're gonna tell me that's coral reef that formed.
Freemason TikTok. I'll try it, Joe.
It's nothing but just rock sediment. That's all.
Yeah, it's just rock sediment like that. There's no. The fluid of Christ is in you. There's nothing else on the earth that's scary.
Good Lord. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, this one's just a minute long. I'm gonna pull this one up. We can take a look at this one. Yeah.
Nephilim, or Titans, or Colossus, depending on where you look them up at, are all in many legends through many different histories and mythological tellings. And when researching this, you start finding all these crazy similarities, and you start to think about things deeper. And when you know you live in a matrix, you know there's no such thing as coincidence. And you can find proof in all sorts of other places, like these giant tree trunks all over the world. The similarities are uncanny. They try to call them rock formations, but they look more like petrified fossils of giant items. Some things just can't be carved and seem more frozen in time, or fossilized, however you want to put it. Even giant tools.
What the crap? You guys see the size of that knife?
Ain't chopping me up for dinner. No
Yeah,
way.
wow. Right? Have you guys seen the video? Speaking of which, it looks like raw meat. The sinewy meat part of these rock formations where they've cracked them open, and it actually looks like the blood and the meat inside the rocks that have been
Gross.
petrified.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
Wow.
Yeah. Very interesting. I lost where I was now. Here's another one, very short.
Giants literally were scattered over the face of the earth. One tribe of the giants raised normal-sized people for food.
I saw one of these giants down in Mexico. He was huge. We just stood there in awe. It was like, my God. They bring him into town once a month. You ought to go down there and see this thing because he had 6 toes.
There are very powerful people that don't want this stuff out. The giants literally were scattered over the face of the earth.
So we have them, seen now and reported in Mexico as well.
And the people just stand there staring. Durr, I'd be out of there.
Right? Don't just stand there, run. Here's another short one we got.
So you want to know if there's any pictures of melanated giants? That's good.
Oh my days.
All right, watch this. So, in the 1600s, the Spanish captured a 2-headed black giant. And guess what they did? Put it on a display in a circus like a freak. Oh my days.
There were a lot of these entities, a lot of these chimeras, a lot of these giants that were put on display with the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. They were circus freaks.
Well, I mean, there are Nephilim hybrids.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of accurate term for them.
There's such a, like outside Mexico City with the Toltec ruins and stuff. These giants, and even obviously like, the elongated skull, alien with the tail and the wings that are depicted on these tablets and all these things. It's like these people like not grew up with them, but they're always known about. So if you have a society that literally has heard this through oral traditions and then see them, it's like if they do parade it in town, it's like, okay, well, look, it's back again. I don't want it to eat me. So, I'm going to feed it a whole bunch of ribeyes or whatever. And people don't get, they're not shocked by it unless you're not from there.
I'm pulling up a picture back in the 1970s. When I was growing up, we used to go over to Toronto, it wasn't Toronto, it was Clifton Hill. And in Clifton Hill, there was a museum. It was the, when you get into the book, what is that book you get into?
The Guinness Book.
Yeah, it was the Guinness Book Museum. And this woman right here, she was the tallest woman in the world. And I actually met her. Her name was Sandy Allen. And this woman was the tallest woman I had ever seen in my life. Her hands were like the size of my head. It was crazy. So they, it's sad that they would put these people in as circus freaks, but this is what they did. And these people made money off of them in the old days.
And weren't giants, or these bigger people, we'll just call them, weren't they known to be like super nice? Like I wrestled with Mount Fiji, and she was a giant, and she was probably the sweetest, kindest person you'd ever meet.
Well, you're looking at stories of Andre the Giant too.
Yeah,
wrestling lore. He was described as one of the nicest individuals you would ever meet.
Yep,
no doubt.
Exactly. Contrary to what the tales have told us in the past, when these giants would actually eat human beings. And we've got pictures, or we've got carvings, we've got drawings and everything of these entities eating human flesh.
That's true. I wanted to add in about the whole circus thing. I wish I was a lawyer, because I'd have so many cases, because right now all the bearded ladies of the olden days could sue, because the bearded ladies, like, you see those everywhere. I mean, they're all over TikTok.
Yes. It's funny you should mention that, because there's one in particular that she always comes up on my FYP, and she's done a couple of live streams, and people have asked her, are you taking testosterone? Are you transitioning? Are you this? Are you that? And she's like, no. I also have another woman. Her name is Julie, and she is a XX. She was born XX chromosome. I think, am I right? I'm probably doing it wrong. She's got the XXY chromosome. That's what she is. XXY, meaning she's got the XX of the man and the XY of the female.
Yeah.
And she grew up as a boy. Her parents had to choose one of her genders at birth, so they chose to raise her as a boy. And when she'll tell the story. I'm not telling anything she hasn't already put out there. She said that she was getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and she went to a geneticist, and he told her, look, I'm going to tell you something. He goes, we've got to put you on testosterone, and if we don't put you on testosterone, you're going to die. And she says, well, what does that mean? And he goes, well, it means that we're going to cancel out the XX chromosome, and we're going to intensify your XY chromosome. You're going to grow breasts. You're going to have a period. If you're, if your insides are formed enough, you will be a woman. She's the most amazing person. Whenever she's live, I always go into her live streams, because she's just amazing. Guys, she got pregnant.
Wow. How rare is that? That's got to be rare.
Very rare. She did not carry the baby to term, which she knew that would probably happen, but she carried it for 3 months. She's going through the whole, but yeah, it's this is why I don't understand this whole thing. I don't believe God makes mistakes. I don't believe that our genetic makeup, God doesn't make mistakes. I believe that it has been manipulated through the ages and brought these chromosomes, mutations to the forefront. But they're, when God created Adam and Eve, they were perfect. And it can't just, it's not just through manipulation, but it's through medication, it's through environment, it's through, all these things, the food that we eat now. I mean, they're changing the DNA of people just through the hormones that they're putting in our food.
Oh,
Can you imagine in 50 years what's going to happen?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I mean, we've been talking about gene editing for the longest time now. So that's our bodies are corrupted.
Yeah.
Now, when we start taking things that will corrupt our soul, then we have an issue.
Right. Exactly.
Well, that's coming.
Yeah, and that's the truth. I'm going to play you guys something. I played it for you guys before we went on the air, and I just want to see what everybody in the chat room has to say about it and what you guys think, because you guys didn't really say too much. We kind of changed the conversation. But let's take a listen to this one, guys.
Did you know that every myth is based on some truth? And did you know that Africa could be the real Skull Island? All my days. So I stumbled across these old maps, and for some reason, they've shown Africa as a giant skull. The landmass fits perfectly. There's not just one map, there's a few, and they all show Africa in the same way. They always tell you the truth. You've just got to be able to understand their language. In this movie, they was hinting that giants exist. It's one thing to understand that giants exist, but what about Titans? I've always wondered why they always seem to show Africa as the main landmass. They're rubbing it in our faces. The truth is always hidden in plain sight. Did you know?
Okay, guys, let's hear your thoughts on that. If that's the case, that must have been a pretty big Titan, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
If that
Probably a
was
couple
true, that would
miles
mean
tall.
if that was true, that would mean the planet is way bigger than we think it is. Because otherwise,
Right.
if he pretty much just be in like a tiny little bowl, you know.
Right.
Yeah, you bring up a good point.
Just imagine the atmosphere that it took to inhabit that creature.
Right.
Well, you know, that movie too, I've watched it. I'm sure y'all have maybe, but you remember what the enemy was on that island?
No.
Dinosaurs.
It's been too long.
Yeah, it was those damn serpents.
Yep.
Remember, Hero? Like they were serpents. There was no arms on them. They were like, you know, giant snake. No, they had 2 arms and no legs. They were just like, they were serpents with just like, you know, arms but no legs, but giant tails. But those were the enemies of the King Kong's family.
Yeah.
You know, guys, when you listen to or you read the ancient writings of sailors, they talk about sea monsters. They talk about sirens. They talk about mermaids. They talk about all of these things. Are we really going to pretend that none of those things existed?
Right. I remember even when I was like a kid looking at those maps and stuff, I'd be like, why are they drawing like mermaids and serpents and all that stuff on there? And I would ask the teacher that, and she'd be like, oh, no, that was just artistic license. They just wanted to be creative. And I was like, why would they do that on a map that people need to like find where they're going?
Well, when the sailors would make a map and they would put these sirens or these mermaids on on the shorelines, that was a warning to the other sailors to stay away from that area, or to be, you know, to make sure that you were aware of that area, because they would lure you into those rocks.
Even what was that, the Iliad with the Odyssey with Odysseus when they're trying to cross the ocean? They talked about all types of creatures in there, but specifically with the sirens, he had to have all of his sailors put like earmuffs on or like stuff in their ears so that the sirens call wouldn't make them jump off the boat. And he was the only they had to like strap him to like the what is it called, the sail, so he could like lead them where they're going. But they had to strap him down because the siren song would make him jump into the water.
Yeah,
that's interesting. You know, there's so much in Greek mythology, and if we can just agree that they're just a bunch of Nephilim hybrids. I mean, the fallen angels, they were with humans, animals, and insects. It says that. And Enoch.
That's why I think it might have been like them actually just screwing with the genetics with some sort of tech, maybe.
100%.
Really freaky with a bug.
It's always been that. I mean, every because there was 3 wars in the universe: Rahab, Mars, and then the flood of Jeremiah, which was on the earth. It was all that. It was the genetic manipulation of anything. Anything they could make, and they've always been the same thing. They've always tried to engineer these massive creatures, these entities, to battle the Most High. That's all it's ever been. Is that like we got to get him? We have to go after, get back into heaven with these things we're designing and manipulating to try to fight God. That's all it's ever been.
And we're going to see that in the last days, in the Battle of Armageddon too. When
no doubt
Satan's going to raise up people that he deems worthy to fight the Most High God and his army, and a super soldier from genetic manipulation is not going to cut it. We talked about how they're got all this Nephilim DNA, and government officials is looking for tombs of certain key figures in our history that has supernatural powers. So they're trying to bring back the Titans. They're trying to bring back the giants so they can go to war.
Exactly. Oh yeah. And don't think that this stuff isn't waiting in the wings beneath our feet, because people have so much visions and prophecies about chimera armies literally waiting for the right time, and even in the Septuagint Bible, it's only mentioned in there in Isaiah about the destruction of Babylon is, giants being released in Isaiah 13.
Mm-hmm.
Come forth the giants, fulfill my
That was
wrath.
in that Vodstock video you played a few weeks ago, Lori? The lake in Antarctica. They said they're waiting for a specific DNA to unlock that to the city, and underneath there's a city with all these giants that are like blue.
Yeah, that was organism.
Was Lake Vostok
46B in Lake Vostok,
something like that.
Yeah. Now they discovered these huge creatures. They almost was a sea monster organism. Like I said, organism 46B, I think it was. Lake.
I want to say it's Vodstock. But there was the Falkland Wars down there, and the black goo. It all seems to be connected, and it all seems to point to Antarctica.
Lake Vostok, Vostok, that they found underneath in Antarctica. Yeah, and they have discovered these things. I'm gonna pull up. What I was gonna do? What do you guys think of what's up on the screen? Let's talk about Gilgamesh. Yes, Charity, we're going to go into this, and this is going to lead us into the next topic. Let's talk about Gilgamesh. John, the FOIA pulled up that Hillary Clinton was very interested in the tomb of Gilgamesh, wasn't she?
Yeah, definitely. That was, if you go with the narrative that Hillary is the whore of Babylon reincarnated through the Babylon workings of Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard, then that would be technically her husband, Osiris, because Nimrod's name, that was his name, Gilgamesh, when after he became a Gibber.
Right.
But yeah, so him and her talking about him, I find that kind of, I know it's real, but I like to know what circumstance, because when that email was made, he had already been recovered for a while.
She knew that he had been recovered, but she wanted access to it.
Yeah, that, and maybe even what else they got. I think she was after that damn egg. I'm sure she has it.
Right, or I believe I firmly believe they have a sarcophagus.
Yeah.
I totally believe that they have a sarcophagus. These med beds that were being revealed to us, thanks to Trish over the last year, she's been telling us, keep an eye on these guys and telling you something about these things. Trish, I'm going to tell you, I think that they're sarcophagus, and I think that there's two sets of these med beds. I think there's the med beds for the general population, and I think there's the real med beds for the elite, which are the sarcophagi. What do you guys think about that?
Theirs probably work and ours probably won't.
Right. That's what I mean. I mean, ours work, okay, but they don't bring you back to life, and they don't make you young, and they don't heal, but I believe that the sarcophagi that they have, let's take a back to the movie Stargate. Do you remember the sarcophagi in Stargate? It regenerated.
Yeah, I'm not.
Through I believe it was frequency, right? In the movie?
Right. It's all about frequency, guys. Everything goes back to frequencies.
Can you imagine having a copper one and then the frequency bouncing around inside that copper? You could do anything.
Damn, I could get up and I could be 29 again. Yeah.
I wish.
I know, right? But anyway, so Hillary Clinton put out an email. She knew the tomb of Gilgamesh had been discovered, and they had taken things out of the tomb or whatever it was, but she wanted access to it. And she now I'm not sure when this was. I believe this was in I want to say 2016, 2015, between 14 and 16 is when it was dated. And then I found something else. Two things I found. Let's put this one up here. And I'd be interested in hearing what you have to say about this, John.
The federal court has ordered that a rare ancient artifact known as the Gilgamesh Dream Tablet must be surrendered to authorities. The 3,500-year-old tablet from what is now Iraq bears text from the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the world's oldest works of literature. Known as the Gilgamesh Dream Tablet, the artifact features sections of a Sumerian poem, parts of the epic mirror stories from the Old Testament, such as the Garden of Eden. Officials say it was illegally imported before being purchased by the Christian-owned brand Hobby Lobby. The rare item was bought to be put on display at the Museum of the Bible. The Washington, D.C. museum, chaired and funded by the Hobby Lobby's president, Steve Green, has been plagued by controversies involving its collection. Officials say the tablet was purchased by a U.S. antiquities dealer in 2003 in London, who then shipped it to the U.S. without declaring the contents and sold it with false documentation. Acting U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, Jacqueline M. Casulis, described the development as an important milestone on the path to returning this rare and ancient masterpiece of world literature to its country of origin.
John,
Yeah.
why would they mention Hobby Lobby?
Yeah, remember what I told y'all, that he got all that stuff and then they told him to get him to talk and then he gave it back.
Right. He got all the stuff from the Nazis.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
When I heard that, I was like, oh, I've got to play this one for John.
That's what it is, because like I said, now those, in fact, they'll show that. And I will say this. I have never said this before. Okay. You think that audio books are something new? They're not.
No, they're not.
Those tablets, when you do the whole Gollum thing and you sing the letters, basically, like I tell you about Hebrew, it opens up doors and everything. Mm-hmm. When you put that tone to those tablets,
they sing.
It will sing to you what they say, and that's the thing. So,
yep,
it arms. Now, this came across my mind today, and I don't know why. Maybe it's pertaining to this, but remind me, what do you call the medical tests you got to take to be a doctor or nurse? What's the acronym for that? The nomenclature.
I'm trying to think.
Is it MCAT? Am I right? MCAT?
The MCATs, yes.
Okay. This is what reminded me of this today. I don't know. Sometimes it's been a long time. Cause like I said, I don't pray as much anymore, which I should, but I kind of I let the world get to me. But, so I'm thinking about that. And today what happened was I was listening, I forgot, maybe to IntelliHub or something, but this guy found a cave in Nevada that was shaped like an M years ago. And he got a lot of flack for it, but the guy ended up disappearing and they never found him. And he said that he went into the cave and there was a huge vibration shift that started in his head. Now, he made some YouTubes, and I have to find his name again, but he said it started in his head, kind of on his third eye. He didn't say third eye, but where he said on his head, I'm just like guessing this, right? And the vibration was like in the middle of between his eyes, like a little bit above his brow, right? And he said it, he got out of this cave shaped like an M. Well, have you ever heard of the cats in Egypt that have an M on their head?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, those cats lead you to resurrection. That's why they're called the M cats, medical resurrection.
Oh my goodness.
Well,
oh my, John, you took the words right out of my mouth. What I was about to say before you started talking. What if that tablet is the key?
That's what I'm saying. That's what they got it back. It told them how that stuff works. An audio book. Gilgamesh resurrection. Yeah, MCATs. That's what they call it. That. But yeah, the cats led you resurrection in Egypt, and they got those cats today. They got M's on their heads, like in the fur. But that's what it is. It's a vibrational fixing of you. But yeah, instructions.
Wow.
So they are trying to bring back Nimrod, Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
That's why they need those artifacts. Now
Yeah,
I wonder if they
do
would find
believe-
all the rest of his body parts too.
I do believe that it's one big,
They got all of. Well, like I said, I never, I didn't see inside, but they said they got all the. He was in pieces, so I imagine they got all the pieces. They, the thing is, I could never. This was what always got me, even after, like after I figured out who that was with my conversion and everything, right? So, because like I said, Jesus, he opens up all that. Men just don't think about that on their own. Like people that aren't really involved in Luciferianism. It's like once I had that belief in the Lord, then it was like the knowledge was revealed. But I always pondered, is the whole story of the phallus, the missing, 13 pieces, right? They couldn't find the 14th. Obviously, we told that story. Is the story really based around that she made the phallus to perform the apotheosis, or is the actual his original member, is that what's important to him? You kind of like behind the scenes, like you see what I'm saying? Like, is it like, do they care that they never found that, or did they really want to find that, or is the whole story with she made the golden phallus and it worked? Because I think that story in itself is pretty incredible that it worked on a dead body.
Right.
But I always wondered, because they always, John Podesta always had the number 14 in the fish in each hand. He always drew that stuff.
Yep. Yeah, that was with the whole Brahmovich and the ritual there.
And that's what I'm saying. They love, because the occult is 13. That's all the pieces they found. But then they love 14 so much because that's what they never found of Osiris. And then of course the story of the fish ate it. The fish ate the 14th piece.
Right. So yeah, could that be why on the Pope's hats it's the fish hat? The fish.
100%. Yeah, that's Dagon. Yeah, which is the fish god. Yeah. So it's all related. And then then they try to tell you that, and I don't know. I've never looked into it, but I'm going to say the whole fish thing with the word Jesus in it. I'm going to tell you, high-ranking Luciferians drawing fishes in their hands. I'm going to say the whole fish thing to me ain't got nothing to do with Jesus.
Right.
That's just my opinion.
Well, so Podesta did the fish, and he had the image on his hand, and I'm going to pull it up right here so you guys can take a look. This is what we're talking about. 2016, when the whole Podesta files came out, you had the 14, you had the fish. Right when in 2020, if you guys were following Madonna over on TikTok, she kind of lost her mind, and she was singing no more fish, no more fish fries, which I did some research, and I went back to Albert Fish. Albert Fish was a serial killer who was a cannibal.
Yeah.
And that's what she was singing about when she lost her mind. I don't know if I can find.
She lost her mind a couple times.
Well, yeah.
In the last year or two, she did one on.
I think when it was in 2020, I think that they lost their supply of the elixir.
Yeah, she did a thing within maybe a year or two where she's looking all glamorous, and they're doing her hair, teasing her hair, and she's talking about milliliter, like she's sucking on something, like starts with an A. She was leading to the fact that she was running low.
Oh yes. Also, another one that was doing it was what's her name? Ellen. There was a lot of them actually on Twitter at the time. Take a listen to this.
Come on, go. Let's go eat some fried fish. Fried fish. Come on, road and go. Let's go eat some fried fish. Fried fish. Because there's no more pasta. Oh no. So we're gonna eat some fried fish.
All right. So she was talking about Albert Fish. And I'm going to pull him up. And I'm not going to pull him up on my computer because my computer's running really slow. But Albert Fish was an American serial killer. His name was Hamilton Howard Albert Fish. He was an American serial killer, rapist, child molester, and cannibal who committed at least 3 child murders from July 1924 to June 1928. He was also known as the Gray Man, the Werewolf of Wisteria, the Brooklyn Vampire, the Moon Maniac, and the Boogeyman. And when you know these guys, what they're talking about, it makes it all the more sense with Podesta and his little fish hands.
Yeah. Yeah, they love that.
Which, by the way, if you look up giants eating people, you can find a lot of images, both drawings, paintings. You can even find architecture that has, sculptures that have it. Here's one from the Titans. I guess, Hero, you talked about this one the other day, a couple weeks ago on the movie The Titans.
Oh, it's a TV show called Attack on Titans.
Okay.
And it's pretty much based off of the Bible very loosely. There's there's the wall that's supposed to symbolize the quote unquote ice wall. There's even people who there's racial superiority and all types of crap like that in the show. And some certain people wear red armbands, which we know what that symbolizes. There's people in the show who are half human, half giant. There's scientists who manipulate genetics and all types of stuff in the show. There's even a character called Levi, which is supposed to symbolize the tribe of Levi from the Bible. And it's the show gets pretty deep on certain things. It's kind of crazy, actually.
Wow. Here's a sculpture. 500-year-old sculpture depicts a man eating a sack of babies. Yeah.
Lori, I can't think of the names, but even London, England, the city is named after 2 giants. Have you ever heard that before?
What is that?
London, England, like the city.
Really?
Yeah, the founding of it was from 2 giants, in their oral traditions. But the 2 giants that in real life it's named after, London, they were in the remake of Hellboy. The 2 giants he fought, those are them.
Shit. Okay. Wow.
But yeah, I gotta find it. You do way better research than me. But yeah, I can't think of their names. But the 2 giants that it's literally they were named. London was it's their names.
Let's see if I can find it. Og Magog.
Yeah, Og Magog. That's it.
Og Magog. Who were the Guardians?
That's from England.
Wow.
Though they say those are the ones too. Now in history, 35,000 legions of Roman soldiers, 35,000 of them were fighting in a forest, and they fought supposedly them 2 giants, and they killed 35,000 Roman troops.
Jeez Louise. Unbelievable. All right, guys. So this is all leading back to this last part. Is we're going to bring it straight around to a gentleman by the name of Andrew Dawson. Andrew Dawson put out a video, and I'm going to pull it up for us right this second. We're going to talk about this because wait to see what I found. Let's talk about this video, guys. Yeah, give it a second. Here we go.
Could this be a giant? A TikToker is rumored to have passed away after posting a strange video of an alleged giant on a mountain in Canada, sparking rumors that the CIA got to him to cover up the story. In April 2022, Canadian TikToker Andrew Dawson posted a video of a strange tall shape on top of a mountain in Vancouver. The details are shaky, but Dawson insists to the skeptical driver that it's a giant man.
There's a person standing there.
No, it's not.
Dude, if you seen what I seen right now?
The video gained millions of views and set Dawson on a giant hunt that would last weeks. He went back to the mountain multiple times, but the giant was never seen again, only making him more determined to spot it. Things got weird when Dawson was pulled over by who he claims was the CIA.
I just got stopped by like some CIA agent. He told me to turn around and said I'm trespassing. I said it's a public area.
He posted several videos showing the alleged CIA blocking access to the mountain. In one video, helicopters are seen flying around the mountain as if searching for something. In another, strange lights are seen in the sky that he suggests could be a UFO, writing, "Did the thing on the mountain go home?" Before long, the agents allegedly started to stalk Dawson. He posted a video of a black car parked outside his home. When he goes out to confront the driver speeds away. In early May, Dawson posted a strange video in which he confesses that the giant sighting was fake.
Sorry to disappoint you guys, but all of the videos that I posted were scripted. They were just fake. They were just strictly for entertainment.
Throughout the video, his eyes dart off camera as if being instructed by someone. 10 days later, he backpedaled on the claim in a distressing video, saying,
"You might not see me post ever again. My videos weren't fake."
Dawson posted his final video on May 17th, showing footage of the same mountain, now with a huge new building on top of it. No one has seen him online since. Rumors have circulated online that Dawson passed away in July, with numerous videos showing what they claim to be evidence, including an obituary. His girlfriend has posted several videos mourning his passing as well, but has never spoken on the giant. Others are spreading rumors that the CIA got to him to hide the truth about the giant on the mountain, sparking one of the biggest TikTok conspiracy theories of 2022. Many are skeptical of the giant videos and the death altogether, assuming the whole thing is a setup for views. TikTokers have been revisiting the mountain since the story blew up to look for the giant themselves. None have been successful, although one person did capture the mysterious building in better detail. Some TikTokers have suggested that the building is nothing more than a radio tower, while others think it's a government research facility. Some TikTokers believe the creature is a Nephilim, a giant discussed in the Hebrew Bible that some interpret as the sons of fallen angels. In 1577, researchers even believe they found the fossil of a Nephilim who was washed away in the Great Flood, although it was later discovered that this was a mammoth fossil. Could Dawson have really spotted a giant on the mountain? Unfortunately, we may never know for sure.
I actually sent you a follow-up to that. I don't know if you saw that one. It was a guy who used Google Images to like look at it, and there was a giant person, and you could see like the top overhead view of that building. So it's or a giant like something. It definitely looked humanoid, but that whole thing is very strange.
Andrew Dawson claimed he saw giants.
Here we go.
Look what shows on Google Maps on that exact same mountain.
Yep, there it is.
This looks like a military operation.
Oh, wait.
Could that be a Nephilim? Found the infamous site and
I'm going to pull up the here's the still from it, guys. Look at this. There's his head. He's wearing a cloak. You can see the tapestry on the back of the cloak, like he's got like a shawl over him. What do you guys think of that?
There was another video of a giant I saw in Mexico that also looked like they were wearing a cloak, and it also had like a staff as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like
And
we just keep
he
seeing
looks
these things.
He looks dimensionally taller than the building itself.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm gonna see if I can get over here real quick, and I'm gonna try to blow it up just a bit for us. Give me just a second. I put it on ours right here. Let me just do this real quick, and I can blow it up for us. Okay. And I'm gonna send it to you. Sorry, I'm gonna send it to you, Ernie. Okay, here we go. All right, give me just a minute.
I just wish for some of these footages they'd have like a more up-to-date camera.
I know, right?
Blurry cameras.
Seriously. There it
Well,
is.
a lot of these photos are taken with camera phones, and at a distance such as that image was taken, when you zoom in, it definitely distorts the pixels.
It does,
So
absolutely.
you
And
need a
he was quite a
professional
ways
camera for
away.
that.
He was quite a ways away. I mean, he was several miles away. So, guys, okay, so you think about it. He's several miles away and gets a picture of, I'm trying to pull back on the video up here, but it's several miles back, and you can see how big that entity was on that mountain.
No doubt. Well, if I asked the Freemasons, I bet they'd say it was a cowboy statue from the Texas State Fair that they brought up there to trick people.
Right. I'm wondering who sewed those clothes.
I'm just wondering if he's got like a, what is it, a Shriner's hat that goes with it. The fez.
Oh, yeah.
The fez,
looks like
got a
it.
fez to go with it, because that's exactly what I can see. And then I got this one to kind of wrap this up for tonight. This is talking about the giant of Kandahar. Take a listen.
You were in Afghanistan in 2002, and you were called into a very remote section of Afghanistan because a patrol had basically gone missing.
Exactly.
Okay, there's no villages around
nothing
for miles.
Right.
So very remote.
Yeah, very remote. So we flew in. Did about 4 kilometers. We're hiking through the same area where they were supposed to make one of their checkpoints, one of their rally points. And before we left, there was all kinds of what happened with an ambush. But that was even odd because at point of ambush, we call for maybe close air support, something. Okay, there was no calls made, just off the grid. So we're coming down a mountainside, and it was a nice path, goat path. As we bent around this corner, you could see this opening of the cave. There's a cave as we're coming around. And then I see there's a lot of rocks, which is another oddity, and then bone matter. When I'm not close enough to identify what kind of bones, but I did see something I knew was a piece of our communications equipment. So instantly, we're thinking ambush, maybe animal, could be anything. And there was enough room in front of this cave, but it had a sheer drop off. But there was enough room that we actually got into a decent dispersal in case of ambush.
You see something coming out of the cave, and it's moving with a speed and agility that catches you off guard.
Everybody. And he comes out. It was a man at least 12 to 15 feet in height. This is a monster. Red beard, then his hair was long past the shoulder, a scarlet red, and Dan runs at him and starts shooting, which broke all of us into the reality. As it was
So
surreal.
now your training is kicking
Oh
in.
yeah,
Okay.
muscle memory, complete muscle memory. While Dan is moving at him, another bro of mine's laying down fire, and I start firing. He skewers Dan. He's now got him on this pike. It went through him. And he's still got him, and he's coming after more. We all just clicked in. I don't know what it was, but I remember we're all like, shoot him in the face, shoot him in the face. And our weapons components were M4. We had 308s. and we had parasites. This is sounding longer than it took. We're talking 30 seconds. And he's taking multiple hits, and it's still moving.
He talks about
Dan was dead. Okay. And why is a good man, probably one of the best men I know, now dead. Before I'd left, they were already starting what they call a 9-line, which is a medevac request. They're sending out a medevac request, then all of a sudden it's not a medevac request. All of a sudden we had a helicopter show up because, like I told you, it was a large precipice and a sheer drop. So the helicopter just came up from the drop. They had dropped netting, which is like cargo netting. It's like squares. We were told we had to bundle him up. And we get another bigger helicopter. But it's almost like a Jolly Green Giant used to look back in the day. That could get, through this area. Because the mountains, you got to remember, Chinooks could only go in certain places because they had enough lift.
Mm-hmm.
The thing was too big. We couldn't move it. It smelled worse than a skunk. The corpse that's been around for a while.
Really fell.
Oh, it was like a combination because of the, how do you put that, the persistence of a skunk smell. But once the helicopter came in, dropped its little hook, and off he goes. The communication was sent out that we had a very large possible human creature.
There you are in the hills of Afghanistan. How many troop members are you with?
We had 6 on my crew. And when we say hills of Afghanistan, for us, we did not fly into the wilderness. We actually flew into a base. I guess this thing was transloaded out of the mountains by a CH-47. But I could see that it did have the 6 fingers. I remember taking my foot up and placing it up next to its foot, and it was extremely large. We estimated it at about 12 feet, give or take. What I can tell you is the weight of the thing. Basically, it was approximately 1,500 pounds when it was getting on the aircraft. Now, if you take away the pallet weight and all the rigging that we had to hold this thing down, we figured it was around 1,100 pounds.
Of course, we're upset. That's a given. Okay. We lost a very good guy. But add to that, you're discussing something that even in our after action report, they're saying rewrite it. And we had to rewrite it the way they wanted.
How many fingers?
6 toes.
6 toes.
And the nails were weird because if you see somebody that ever has, I don't know what it's called, but it's
like a fungus on
the nails, how they get pointy and they're like gnarly. That's what they look like.
Yeah, I'd like to see someone try to debunk that one.
John, I'm going to pass this over to you.
Yeah, that pilot, he came out, he did that with George Norrie. Then he went on actual video with Quail, and he basically what he said that they brought it out there and it weighed 1,100 pounds.
Yeah,
and that the thing is too, like that pilot, that's funny because like a year later he had said that he was in a bar in New Mexico with a friend, and he said a Native American man approached him in that bar and like said, "Hey, you've seen giants," and he goes, "That guy didn't know me." Wow. And he goes, "You've seen giants, you've seen them." He's like, and then he's like, and then the guy says, "They're coming back. They're coming back."
Yeah. Well, they are coming back, and I think I said this in chat. I believe that everything that is hidden is going to come into light. I believe this is soft disclosure. Somebody said it's almost like these giants want to be seen right now, and I said I believe it's soft disclosure. I think they're doing the same thing as they're doing with the UFOs. I think they want us. They're testing the waters per se to see how we will react to these giants, coming forward. Isn't it interesting that the American Indians, guys, remember when you hear about the Indians and they would meet each other and they hold their hand up and they say, "How?" The reason why they held their hands up, guys, was because they needed to count the fingers. They wanted to make sure they only had 5, because if they had 6, they weren't friendly.
And that reminds me of the book that I shared with you, Lori, that I'm actually currently reading about our ancestors from Israel being in the United States, and that Indian who approached that pilot, as you mentioned, John. I mean, those are descendants of, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob right there.
Correct.
So they have that knowledge and are protected by God. I mean, my personal opinion. So they have that type of discernment and knowledge to be able to tell those type of things. Yeah.
No doubt. Yeah. Cause even like in Lovelock, when they got the giant inside the cave, then they built a fire to suck all the air out. I mean, then they knew how to fight them. Even like like the Anasazi, when they built, the cliff dwellers, when they would dig inside of the cliffs, well, they weren't so far apart because of privacy. It was because they didn't want the giants going hole to hole, climbing on the wall, just pulling them out of there. They had to, they knew the arm length of these things. Mm-hmm. So that's why they built the cliff housing so far apart. It was more of a, the four corners areas of these, these civilizations. They were literally fortified positions built. They can never figure out how, like, scholars tell you, well, they're built like that because of, privacy and, they don't want the chiefs next to the other one. No, it's because they built them to fight these things. Mm-hmm. And we're using capabilities. I'll be honest with you. I even think how, Joshua took down Jericho. I think the Anasazi were using the same, even though they're so far apart. Maybe Joshua fought these things in the United States, who knows? But I think that Joshua's tactics were almost the same as these indigenous tribes are talking about. Mm-hmm. They had to do the same tactics to fight these things.
Exactly. I do have one more video to share with you guys.
Wake the fuck up, the Nephilim still exist.
But this was one of the craziest videos of 2022 so far, bro. And they was grinding me up saying I look just like Bo, but I don't. Let's go! I'm telling y'all, the Nephilim roamed the earth, bro. They stuffed him. He's stuffed. They probably still live in remote places on Earth. Wake up! One more time. Wake up!
Wake the fuck up, the Nephilim.
That's right. Wake up, guys. They are here. They never left. As in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the second coming of man. This is, we're seeing everything being played. Read the book of Yasher. The book of Jasher talks about these. The book of Enoch talks about these things. It's hard to deny. It's hard to deny. It's hard to say that these things aren't real because of it's just an inundated right now of proof, literally archaeological proof.
Lori, I was going to say too, I've had 2 run-ins with people over the giant, not necessarily involved directly, but the way they treated it when I asked them, you can just tell it's like, yeah, that happened, but they're like, I'm not talking about it.
Right.
And that was in Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan, because the giant came from Kandahar. So, but right. Bagram is where they flew that thing out of. And I guess about 2015, no, let me think, end of 2016, I had a guy come in where I was working at, and he had on a C-130 shirt. And it was I guess like a military T-shirt he must have got or something, but it had Bagram, this and that. So, oh yeah, I said Bagram. I said, cool place. And he's like, yeah. He goes, I was there from like 03 to like 07, this and that. And I said, well, you ever heard of that giant? And he looks at me, he goes, just give me my part, please. I'm not discussing that with you. And it's like, that's the thing. I didn't know that guy. I just said it just to kind of maybe see if I can intrigue him.
Yeah, just to feel him out a little bit.
And he was like, just give me my part. He had nothing to do with it. I was like, oh, okay, so it's real. He's like, He's like, he shook his head at me like, dude, don't even talk to me ever again.
Oh my goodness. If you guys are interested in learning about the Genesis 6 conspiracy, there's author Gary Wayne. Here we have our video with our interview with him. He's going to be joining us next time and real soon again, because I do want to get Gary Wayne on with John and talk about some things. And this was just kind of my foot in. Gary and I, we had played, literally, we played, catch up between each other for months. I had him scheduled in. We got a 90-day suspension on it, so I had to reschedule him, and then he had to cancel because he was sick. So we finally got him on. We talked about just the opening parts of the Genesis 6 conspiracy, but he's going to be coming back on with us on a Wednesday night with John. I think next month. I think in February I have him. So we're going to be talking about, if you're interested though in the Genesis 6 conspiracy with author Gary Wayne, here's our. If you go into the live tab, scroll down and you will see a picture of Gary Wayne, and that's him right there. So there's more to that. But guys, it's coming. It's we've got soft disclosure at this point. I'd be interested to see what's going to happen in the next couple of years, because they can't hide everything. And with social media blowing up with platforms like TikTok, they might have been able to shut up Andrew Dawson, but they can't shut up thousands of us if we put the information out there.
Well, when Andrew said that, when he was standing there with his hands in his pockets and he's looking,
Body language.
he got the talk 100%. But then as soon as he did the other one where it showed, he's like, "Oh, it wasn't fake." That was his, that was his cue, because Andrew, he fits an algorithm. Now you got everybody looking at this mountain, which is probably an entrance to something. I think
Right.
a citadel.
Right.
And you have to fit that. You fit it with numerology.
Mhm.
And then you have to listen to what they say, or they're gonna come do whatever with you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, guys, this was a great discussion tonight. What did we decide for next week?
Zombies
next week, guys. Zombies. I'm going to bring up all the old information on the Amazon terms of service. I'm going to pull up the CDC. I'm going to pull up the military records for it. We're going to talk about the zombies. There has been 4 sightings of zombie type activity in the last 2 weeks, Ernie?
Yep, and counting.
And counting. Yes, one in Ohio, 3 of them. 1 in Ohio and 2 in Oregon. I think it was.
There was in another state too, and I can't remember where it was.
We will pull it up for you guys for next week, but that's where we're going to talk of zombies. And all I got to say is, like I told you guys before we went live, I'm okay with zombies as long as they're the slow ones. You're talking World War Z zombies, I'm out of here. I ain't playing that game. Final thoughts, guys. We've got a few minutes, so let's go down the line. Start with John, then we'll go to Trish, then we'll go to Hero, and then Ernie, you can take us out.
It's definitely an interesting subject. I would definitely look, if anybody want to research more. I would the Nuragi towers, and that's the name of them that they called them on the island of Sardinia. When Joshua ran these things out, in the Bible, they got on rafts, and obviously went across the world and arrived different places. So I think the first stops were the islands of Malta and Sardinia, and then of course if you want to go next, Central America, and then of course the Incans of Peru. Those would be probably the most accurate stories that you could prove to people if you wanted to argue with them, especially atheists, because that's archaeological fact about giants in those areas.
Excellent. Thank you for that. I will try to pull those links that he talked about and maybe put them in the description for you guys. So stay tuned for that. Trisha.
Well, I just wanted to mention, I heard a while back, I don't know if this was true or not, but there was somebody who supposedly was at the Denver airport, and he was looking for the men's room, and he got on some elevator and it took him down. And do you remember the story?
Yeah, I think I do.
And he found a bathroom, but then he went in there and like the stalls were like, not human size. Yeah. I don't know if anyone has heard that story.
I've heard that before. I don't know where though. It might have been we talked about it. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was at the Denver airport. And so he got out of there real quick. Went back up.
Is that airport with that freaky looking horse and all that painting and all that?
That should be a topic, Lori. Yeah, it is. Lori, we had to do a show on that airport at one time.
I actually have done a 2-part series over. I love talking about it because the last time I did it, I did the series in 2018, and I had found some information. So I'm going to have to listen to the video again and pull that information, because I had made a prediction in 2018 that we were going to see some sort of a biological weapon. And so I'm going to have to pull that. I have the 2, I think, on my computer. I'll upload them to the channel. I've been wanting to do that anyways. It was with Hurricane Ann over on Blog Talk. We had a great time, but it was early. I think I did it in April of 2018. And we even talked about Lucifer, the horse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Lucifer,
And think about that horse. That horse at that airport would be giant size.
Lucifer
for a giant
actually
to ride.
killed the guy that created him. He killed the
sculptor.
artist. Yeah, he
Yes.
Part of it fell on him and it severed an artery and he bled to death. Yeah, so there was a blood sacrifice during the creation of Lucifer.
And Lori, that video I sent you earlier today, you probably haven't had a chance to watch.
I have
But
not.
that lady ties in the Denver murals. That video wasn't particularly about giants, but she talks about those murals.
Yeah, the murals have a lot to do with what's going on right now. It might be a good time. Maybe not next week. We're going to talk about zombies, but maybe the following week, John, we could do the Denver airport.
Yeah, definitely.
Because actually, Phil Schneider kind of plays into the Denver airport.
Yeah,
as
Phil.
well.
Yeah, Phil. I think Phil designed a lot of that.
He plays into a lot of that. So, yeah. So I will, between now and 2 weeks from now, guys, I will upload parts 1 and part 2 onto the channel. I'll do it as a premiere, I think. That way you guys can come in the live chat and we can talk. Maybe we'll do it, I don't know. Trying to think. Tomorrow's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday night we'll do part 1.
Real quick, I wanted to say Hurricane Ann is like bringing the whole system down over on TikTok.
She is, I'm telling you.
She's rocking and rolling.
That woman, I was on the phone with her today. I messaged her and I was like, you got time to talk? And she's like, yes. And we're going to be doing a couple of things on her platform, but I'll again bring it over to ours as well. She's killing it over there. She's going live and she's knocking it out of the park. She's on like her 15th TikTok account. And she's like, she literally called me today and she's like, I need your help. And I was like, why? And she doesn't like going live without somebody. And I'm kind of like her support system. And she says, I want you to come on with me. She goes, because we're going to burn this bitch down. And I was like, okay, let's do it. She's a firecracker. I'm telling you.
I was like,
I like her.
To me, it's like a Samson protocol. She's just bringing the whole thing down.
Yep. She is. And yeah, we love ourselves some Hurricane Ann.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. And she's probably going to be listening to this afterwards because she's always giving me shout outs in her live streams. So I'm going to repay the favor. But yeah, she's going to be joining us too pretty soon. So next week, guys, next Wednesday, zombies. Sunday night, we're going to do part one of Denver. Monday night, we'll do part 2 of Denver. And we'll be back on Wednesday. Sound good? Hero, let's hear from you. Final thoughts, final words.
Final thoughts. Yeah, if you don't believe in the Nephilim giants at this point, you're forcing yourself not to.
Right.
You're just forcing yourself not to. There's too much evidence. As a matter of fact, even like when we were talking about the Smithsonian and all that type of stuff, obviously this is I didn't do too much research on this specific point, but I've done a lot of research on the Nephilim giants. there was an interview I heard where this lady was talking about how the Smithsonian was getting so many giant skeletons. I started dumping them into the ocean because they had too many to even like put in their archives and things of that nature. So honestly, you could probably, like, people out there watching this, you could probably find them in like a burial mound if you really looked. Like, it's not like they're super difficult to find. It's not like buried treasure or something like that.
Ohio has those mounds that they found all kinds of artifacts and bones and evidence underneath those.
Right.
Yeah. It's not hard to find if you live in an area that, in the Midwest, most of the East and the Midwest. So, yeah.
Interesting times we're living in.
It is. Ernie?
Well, I want to close off this broadcast with I always like to bring things back to scripture. And then Luke 17. I'm gonna pull this up really quick here. Verses 26 through 30. Okay. As it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the Son of Man. They did eat, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark and the flood came and destroyed them all. Likewise, also, as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be in the days when the Son of Man is revealed. So, guys, from what we have understood and told you tonight, there's nothing new under the sun. Just like in the days of Noah were when giants were roaming the earth, so as it is today. In fact, they are manipulating genes to even develop more. And as I mentioned earlier, we are bringing about Armageddon as we speak. Satan is making his army for that event to take place under the assumption that he will win. But we serve a God who knows the end from the beginning. We serve a God who has conquered death and has already won. And that's something that we can rest assured in knowing that we have the Most High God on our side. Just as he led the Israelites out of Egypt, he will lead us into promised land as long as you put your faith and trust in him alone. And as 2 Timothy 1 verse 7 says, God hasn't provided us with the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. That all come from that relationship that you have with the Most High God and studying his word. So as I conclude tonight, guys, things may appear out of the ordinary for you in the coming days. The hearts of many may grow cold, but be strong, be courageous, be faithful. And remember, eyes open, no fear. Good night, everyone.